Hi, I'm Jamie, CEO and founder of Mashoom, and the other person you can see is James Long, who's our sales manager. So firstly, thanks very much for attending. I know it's everyone's lunchtime, maybe it's just before, so thank you for being here. As hopefully you've picked up along the way, we have a product which is a CRM and quoting modules or CRM and quoting product, which connects quite deeply with Sage 200. So the first thing we're going to do is I'll let James set the scene as to who we are, what we do, and the main bits. But we're going to revolve the session around a live demo to hopefully make it as informative as possible. And we won't take up too much of your time. We'll try and keep on the ball. So without further ado, over to James.
Thanks, Jamie and Michael, for getting us started. My session is quite quick. It's really thinking about you're turning up to and very kindly attending a demo where you don't know the people, you don't know the company or the product very well. And often there'll be questions that are going through your mind which might have an impact on you enjoying the demo. So I'm just going to cover a few typical subjects and I'll be quick about it. So looking at my slide from the top left, who are we? So we're Mashoom. We've been going for 5.5 years. What happens? Usually people come to us with a problem and we work with them to create a solution. And then often from that solution that ends up as a product, which then can be offered to that same marketplace because it's done something unique in creating a solution from what was a problem. Moving across the page, if you look at our website, mashoom.co.uk, we have a range of different modules. Some are connected, some work quite independently. Today, you'll be seeing 2 of those modules. You'll be seeing CRM module and quoting connected together and then also connected to Sage 200. These obviously, as I said, will work independently if you require. Finally, at the top, we have a range of utilities embed within our products. And when I say utility functions and importing, exporting, to give you an example, this would be in this particular environment, the updating and the importing of calling lists, extra calling lists, added people after the event, just using Excel. Down the page, we have our own extensive API, fully documented. I won't say too much about this because you'll see some of it in the demo with Jamie. But this is very useful, obviously, for customers already connected to us, maybe to Sage, and then wanting to move into other sales channels, such as web stores and web shops. Moving along, we're fully online. So in effect, if you can find the web, you can find us. The benefits of that really are, I think, really in updates and connectivity. So updates are seamless, they happen, and then the customer doesn't have to worry about them. Custom styling on the same subject, really. When they do come online and find us, you can have the option to customize the environment in which your customers' users are working within, so they can see their own logos, etc. And that can obviously make them feel more comfortable. Down the bottom, we connect using native Sage 200 API. No third-party installation. Now, this is free to use and maintained by Sage UK. So it's a seamless integration between us and your Sage 200 instance of your customers. And finally, when it comes to pricing, we have 2 ways of doing this. We can either do it through usage, and please feel free to go onto the website, mashoom.co.uk. There is a pricing tool on there, and the usage can be calculated and a price will come out of that. The other way is for some people who actually feel more comfortable knowing pretty much what their costs are per month. We can sit down together and we can work out, using their previous estimated usage, we can work out a fee and we agree with that, and then we'll just update it or amend it as the months go by. That's the end of that one, please, Jamie. And on to the next, please. Thank you. And then finally, we're just about to start our demo. What you're seeing today is actually a demonstration based on Sage's bathroom sales data. Now, typically this sort of demonstration can be set up very quickly with a customer in mind and using their data if you wish. We can quickly set up an account for you on Mashoom. This will obviously need the Sage API installed that can be done relatively quickly if it hasn't been done already because they're already a Sage 200 user. This is fully documented for your use, and typically, if we give you an impression, this initial sync can be done and takes less than an hour. I'm hoping that's rounded off some of the questions you may have in your minds. There'll be a session at the end to ask other questions. I'm going to hand over to Jamie to get why we're here. Thanks, Jamie.
Lovely, thanks very much, James. Right, without further ado, so this is online, and this is as James said, this is a demo that we've set up using the bathroom salesman demo. So apologies for slightly weird stock codes and customer names, but there we are. So you say there are two main modules we're going to look at today. We're going to look at the contacts module, which is sort of our CRM module. I'm going to look at the quoting module, which is how to build quotes and send those down to Sage as sales orders once you're completed with them. So first thing, we're going to click on View Contacts, and we're going to see all of our contacts on the left-hand side. So Mashoom splits contacts up into people and organizations. In Sage, those correlate to customers, are what we call organizations, and customer contacts are those people. So if we open up Whiteware Stores here, you'll see on the left-hand side all the details of that customer. Now, every CRM is roughly the same in terms of you can store all your basic details about the customer. There is also some details pulled through from Sage as well, like the reference, the short name, and payment terms, VAT number, etc., and so forth. One thing that Mashoom is quite powerful on is that we have the ability to add more custom fields and to group those custom fields together. So for instance, if a customer works with a distributors and they want to know different things about their distributors versus their customers versus other suppliers, etc., and so forth, they can create different sets of custom fields for those different people. This also works really well for, as James mentioned, we can do data import and export very easily with Excel. So if somebody buys a list of contact information, it comes with all sorts of SIP codes and various other bits and pieces. That can all be imported into Mashoom in its own little world. So you don't have all that random information across everyone's accounts. It's only across the accounts that it's applicable for. We won't go into fully how it works. It's quite powerful today, because it'll take too long to say we've got custom fields down. So moving across, we can see the timeline. Again, very standard CRM functionality, and we can add activity, and we can add all the different types of activities, from very simple notes through to emails, phone calls, etc., and so forth. Emails can also be recorded via our Outlook add-in. So via artificial intelligence, you can click on the email to analyze it, take that contact information off and take the message as well and save it straight to Mashoom. The other thing we can do is add tasks. So those are things that we want to do in the future related to this customer. So very simply, calling back is one of the most common uses for this. It's also very good for support as well. So we can say we've just sent a brochure to this customer for new business. We need to set up a task to call them back in 2 days' time to see have they read the brochure, do they like it, etc., and so forth. So we'll have a look in a minute at mission control, which is where all of this comes together. And it makes a sort of seamless experience for the sales team so they can keep on chasing those leads. And as we'll talk about a bit later on, keep on chasing those quotes as well. So one thing we major on is not just providing a place for you to put all the information, but providing a place to actually make use of that information. How can we actually make sure those leads and those quotes get chased, which is obviously what improves at the end of the day, the bottom line in the sales figure, which is obviously your ROI. On the right-hand side, we've got your relations, so we can say who belongs to an organization. We can also relate organizations together. That has a few effects, but one of the main ones is it pulls together all the timeline together. So you can see Simon Yates works for Whiteware Stores, and you can see see here, this is his activity coming up in the list. Moving down, you can see we've got all the quotes and their statuses, so you can quickly find the quote you're working on and see in a quite quick view what is, what is this customer to us? We have lots of quotes for them. Are they constantly accepting them? Are they constantly rejecting all of our quotes? It's a nice quick way of seeing what's going on. And finally, we've got this sync with Sage button, which does what it says on the tin. It's a clever two-way sync in all cases, so it will take the latest information from either Sage or Mashoom and overwrite accordingly. As a standard, we don't have an automatic sync from Mashoom down to Sage. It is done on a as required basis. So when the quote gets accepted or when this button is clicked. The reason for that is, again, going back to that use case when you pull in a huge customer list of new customers, prospect list that you're going to go to, you don't want all of them into your Sage database because you haven't sold anything to them yet. They're not financial information. So that can all stay in Mashoom. You can have as many contacts as you want, obviously, and only when you actually do a financial transaction with that customer does it enter the Sage database, and away you go. The other thing we've got, slightly more getting onto the boring side of life, we've got all the financial data that is required to be able to do quoting effectively. That's including stock data and pricing data. All of that is synced through from Sage automatically. So if people are using pricing in Sage, they can carry on doing that, pull it into Mashoom and use all their pricing up to date in Sage as they go through. We also provide a very simple way of editing prices and editing price band assignments in Mashoom as well. A lot of our customers are now basically leaving their pricing in Sage alone. They're just using Mashoom to do quotes, and they are using our update tools because they're just a little bit more flexible, a little bit more easier, is the feedback we're getting. So that is certainly an option, but if people just want to keep on importing prices, that's absolutely fine as well. Touching on a few of the more sort of big features, as it were, or the more sort of for larger organizations, we can set up permissions using permissions groups and users for edit permissions, write permissions, etc. and so forth. And there is advanced search as well, where any of your custom fields or any of the fields here you can search for on an and or basis. So you can do this field and this field in brackets for this field and generate quite meaningful and specific lists of data as well. So as I spoke about with activities and tasks, this all comes together into what we call mission control. Go down here and see it. So don't worry about the graph on the right hand side. I'm going to show you both our dashboards with some real data because then we can go through them and they make a little bit more sense. So you'll see all your tasks in order of how late they are basically. So this one I was meant to do on the 15th of December, which is obviously a little bit late now. You will see your stripped down details on the left hand side, just what you need to complete this task and the timeline again. So this is the use case where we use this internally. We're calling up people, we know the history of the conversation we've had with them, and we just need to take on that relationship and keep moving around, and that's how you chase down that sale. So very simply, you action the task, put in some notes, and then you are prompted to add that activity and schedule a new task. So we've called again, and we're going to schedule a new task for 30th to say callback. So what that does is it pushes the users just gently keep on churning around and keep on that sales cycle until it reaches either hopefully a conclusion or the business is lost and you can take it off the list. So we'll put that in, away you go, that moves off the top of the list. And again, we'll have a look at this side in a minute. This page also works very well for monitoring the team as well. So seeing, is somebody completely snowed under with tasks? Is somebody actually quite light on tasks and those sorts of things? So it works very well as a management tool as well. Again, it'll make more sense when I show the dashboard. So next we're going to move on to quoting. So we're going to open the main menu and go through to quotes. Just time. There we go. So again, we'll go through this dashboard in a minute. With some proper data so we can make a bit more sense of it. Very simply, you can see all of your quotes on the left-hand side. So if I open one of these, you'll see what there is to see. So firstly, we have a revisioning system in Mashoom, which we'll get into in a workflow that's attached to it. So you can very quickly see all the different revisions of that quote as well. So when you're going through the process with the customer, you can know what's happened. And again, it just means over the phone or on email, you can be more informed about the customer's journey, so you can keep them updated and have a better experience. We support 3 of the main line types that I'm sure everyone will be used to: a generic line item for free text items, stock, and standard charges. Standard charges, again, they are imported from Sage with their pricing, and it should be said on all of this, we can support multiple currencies as well. So when standard charges are done in multiple currencies, that is all falls out as appropriate at the time. Each line can have a description, again, very standard, and you can look up standard charges, etc., and so forth, all things that I'm sure you're expecting with a system like this. Quantity and pricing as well, and it will pull through pricing data automatically. So you'll see if we select the ACS blender, which I'm sure is a lovely product, you'll see the price comes through automatically because this customer is assigned to this price band. You can also click here, you'll see that this is from selling band 3. You can open this and see that we've got 2 prices and it automatically picks the lowest. You can also select a different price band as required as well, so it gives that information to the user. We can also set up discounts as well. Discounts per line or absolute discounts on a line-by-line basis or on a quote basis. So moving down, we've got the notes, general notes on the quote. These can be, the default notes can be set up. So every quote starts with a certain number of notes. We can also set up canned responses as well. And this is all user configurable. This is not coding changes by us. These are all user configurable. We can change them. And that means that, for instance, you can say, we're going to add a canned response on shipping. Is this our standard international or custom shipping? What's our canned responses on payment terms, etc., and so forth. So it makes it nice and quick to just put in those notes that go on most of the quotes, just to make things nice and quick. Revision notes, we always encourage people to fill these in as the revisions go past because it aids that buying process from the buyer. The recipient, which is very self-explanatory, and the customer reference, which is often the purchase order number. Finally, we can view the PDF. You let that load, spin it around again. So you can view the PDF and you see we've got the PDF viewer here. These are highly customizable, so you can put in your own logo, you can change this text up at the top. We can put in notes at the bottom, and there are a set of other customization options to do with how stock items are displayed, whether the name is displayed in bold and the description, etc., and so forth. So there's lots of options to go through. You'll also notice that this quote is very dynamic. So for instance, we haven't set any notes in this quote, so we're not seeing the notes box. There is VAT on this quote, so therefore we are showing the VAT. There are discounts, we show the discount column. We've worked very hard to make sure the quote only shows the information that's needed rather than lots of blank space, because one quote in every 1,000 has this sort of information, so you have to write a box for it, which is what the sort of normal templating systems end up with. So boils down to we think it looks quite nice, and we get that feedback from our users as well. So next we're going to go through the workflow that we've set up for quotes. And this workflow does create a few more clicks, only a few. But what it does is it means that you get quite rich and accurate data as to how quotes are progressing, which feeds into the dashboard, which again, I'll show in the end. So you'll see at the moment, we can only view the PDF, we can't download the PDF. This is intentional because the quote is being edited. So we have to mark it as sent, and then you'll see we've got the option to generate and download the PDF here. So that's when we generate it, download it, put it on an email, send it to the customer, etc., and so forth. You'll also see that because we've got it set up for this account, we've got an automatic task to chase this quote, and this will go into mission control with the tasks from the CRM module. What this means is that it makes a process whereby people need to keep chasing quotes so that their task list doesn't go up and up and up. And that obviously aids chasing, that aids the process to make sure that you do just keep on chasing that business. The other thing we have is win rates, slip rates, and estimated order dates, which in our training, this is where I would say to, once you've sent the quote, it's time to go and put in your win rates, slip rates, and order dates. Win rates is how much how likely you think it is that you're going to win the quote. Slip rate is how likely you think it is going to happen at the point you have said it is, and the order date is obviously when you think they're going to accept it. So you'll see if we accept this quote, the sales order will be sent down to Sage. It will happen completely automatically with all the data required. It will go into Sage and that'll be done, so then it can start going through sales order processing. Say the quote has been rejected. You'll see in a minute we've set up rejection reasons, which is again another great way of collecting information as to why quotes are being rejected. So you'll see we've got rejection reasons. I've put one in here, which is too expensive. I'm actually going to use that we're rejecting it because we're going to revise it, and you'll see it will move around for us, and we're back in the editing stage, and around we go again. So what that process means is that it gives from both the user's perspective and from a global perspective a nice rich data picture as to what's going on, and you can see what's happening. Another nice to have is we can copy to new, which is a very handy feature for repeat business or taking the same quote to multiple customers. So that's one of our most favorited buttons, I'm told. A few other bits and pieces. There is also advanced search for quotes, so you can find quotes by customer or any of the customer information. You can also see quotes that are in different stages, quotes that are overdue, have been made by a certain person, etc., and so forth. So that's, have a click. All of these different options in here, and again, it has that clever this and this or this, so you can go and find those quotes that you're after. A few other bits and pieces. There is also a table view as well across both modules, the contact module and the CRM and the quoting module. People just sometimes prefer seeing their data tabularized, so here it is. There is also a generate download here as well. I won't go into all of the import export functions right now because it's not really worth the time, but we are very hot on being able to get all of your data down in the standard Excel format and re-upload it in standard Excel formats as well. So that it's nice and simple to work on your data. If you just want to find all your duplicates and get rid of them, or you want to just make sure you've got capital letters for every customer name, very simple things. You can do that in Excel, re-upload it, and the machine will just burn through and pull that together. In this table, you can also do actions to quotes as well, which is very handy for, again, from the management's perspective, just saying all of these quotes we did more than 3 months ago. Let's just say they're all rejected. Let's get rid of them off the system. So this can all be done nice and quickly. So that's the main CRM and quoting functionality, without going into all of the details of settings and those sorts of things. And we'll go through dashboards in a minute. What we haven't spoken about is the API. So everything that I've shown you on the screen, all of the actions, everything can be done via the API. And because the way the API is built, you can also do an awful lot more as well. So what I've done, you go through to here, you get your API connection. You can generate an API key, and that means you're using the API on your behalf. So it's very easy for individual users, if they're handy with a little bit of code or even Excel, they can generate their own API key and start using their data in a programmatic fashion. Obviously, this works very well for web shops and those sorts of things as well. It is very straightforward to generate a new secret, and this is what you use, and that's the end of it. There's no sort of it's very simple to use for web shops and therefore WordPress developers, etc., and so forth. So to show you, we've got an API we've got an API playground, which makes it very easy to use this. So if I go on to our playground, you see I've got one set up. So we use something called the GraphQL specification, which is well, the newest specification for how to do APIs, and it means that what is in the API is programmatically provided. So we've got a big long list of all the stuff that you can get out of Mashoom. And you can click through this list to say, I would like to know the stock codes. I'd like to get a list of stock codes with this string, with this stock string. I want to know the code of it, the available quantity, and I want to know the prices of it as well. And all of this, obviously, we can go through with a developer how this works. We can go through in training how this works as well. It's incredibly powerful, but obviously it is a development tool. It's not, it's not meant to be the most easy thing on the planet, to allow it to have that power. But you can build it up very easily. You can run that, and with your data, you can see the results outside. So we've got all the stock codes, and we've got all of their quantity and their pricing. So this means that you only get the data you want, and there are literally infinite ways of being able to query your data. All of the actions as well can be done in the same way. So for instance, when a order gets placed on the web shop, a quote can be created and accepted right then and there, so it goes straight through processing into Sage 200. We also provide code snippets as well. So we have code snippets in PHP and some other well-known languages, so you can literally just copy and paste straight in. So it is applicable for a very low level of development skill to be able to use the API very easily. Okay, I'm just going to quickly revoke this, just to make sure that no one's too quick off the bat behind the scenes. Okay, so that's Mashoom in a nutshell. There's lots more to go through, but that's where we'll leave it there. One thing I did promise is that we're going to have a look at our dashboards. So this is the quoting dashboard that I showed earlier, but with a customer's very kind permission, I've borrowed their live dashboard so I can show a bit better what's going on, because it's very difficult to sort of visualize what's going on with demo data. So you'll see at the top, you've got your forecasting. So what's happening week after week, how the number of quotes that are going to be accepted in this case. You can also see our win and slip rates. There's these two lines going along, and you can see a chart as to how many have been estimated, how many don't have estimates at all, etc., and so forth. So this gives you quite a, forecasting is always going to be a bit rough and ready, but it lets you know what your sales pipeline is looking like for quotes. You can then see history. So you see the tooltip pops up. You can see the number that are in draft, number being sent, revising, and pending a response. So again, this is very useful for just seeing general volume of sales activity. It's also quite useful for spotting anomalies as well. So for instance, if there are a huge number of drafts mounting up, clearly people are making a lot of drafts and then for some reason not sending them, or they are doing something else. We've seen a few strange people trying to get around the system. So this is all very good from a manager's perspective. It's also very good from an individual user's perspective, as we'll talk about in a minute. Win-loss as well. So you can very clearly see this is the number that we're winning, this is the number that we're losing, and this is the percentage between the two. And because we've got rejection reasons set up on the account, you can start seeing rejection reasons lighting up as well to see why a customer is rejecting. You'll see on the left-hand side, the reason this is grey is because we turned this feature on roughly February, and we started using it from that point. All of these graphs can be changed with these parameters up here. So at the moment, this is global, but we can select a certain user to show this information for. Now, this is very useful for individual users to see how they are doing and how many quotes they've got outstanding and so on and so forth. It's very good from a management review perspective to be able to say, right, how is an individual doing? Are they keeping on top of things? What's their win-loss rate, etc., and so forth. We can change all of these graphs by day, week, month, and year. Again, just how people like to view the data. And then we can also do by number or by value as well. So all of these graphs can be changed into the actual numerical value of win-loss rates, etc., and so forth. That we found incredibly interesting with customers because they can see we are, for instance, winning about half of the quotes that we quote for. But for instance, their buy value is much higher or much lower than that. because they're actually losing the high value ones or vice versa. So it's proved to be a very valuable tool for a lot of sales teams that we're working with. So moving on to the second dashboard, this is mission control, if you can remember it from earlier. This is looking at all of our tasks and activity. So the top graph is very simple. This is just activity, and because we haven't selected a user, this is for everyone. You see, this is when they did an email campaign and sent out a huge number of emails to their users, and then you can see the activity week by week along here. You can then see your list of tasks that are overdue, need to be completed today or in the future. So red is overdue, completed today is in green, and in the future is grey. This is very handy for when you are doing outreach or even chasing quotes, just see how on the ball is the team and how on ball is the team compared to the number of quotes. So you've got a huge amount of grey, a little bit of green and not very much red. That's a happy, healthy team because it means there's lots of volume going through, but we're all on top of it. If you see here, it's a little bit more topsy-turvy and there's lots of red hanging about. That means that there's maybe a few problems in the system, and there needs to be some sort of conversation as to how much people are chasing up quotes. Again, this can be put by user or as a global team. It by default wakes up, or when you go to the page, it looks at you personally. Again, this is because this page is designed to be quite personal, just what you need to do. You can sit down in the morning and just get through what you know you need to do for the day before chasing that new business. So that concludes showing all the main bits that Mashoom's got to offer. What we're going to do now is talk about why we're here today, and what we hope our future is going forward. So from the feedback we've got, we believe that Mashoom is best suited for sales teams of about 1 to 15 sort of people, selling physical items. We've done a lot of work on stock, and also physical items tend to follow quotes as well, although of course as project work we can go in quotes as well. It's safe to say we have people using these modules for other things, but that's our sort of target market and where we seem to work as well. The reason we come here today, we are looking for partnerships with Sage resellers, whereby Mashoom is offering our CRM quoting modules for Sage 200. We're out here to offer a referral scheme based on rewarding Sage partners with a percentage of the revenue from customers. So a fairly regular revenue share model, which will last for, they taper off 1 to 2 years. There's also we provide a lot of support and training and consultancy to our customers, and we're very proud that we're the kind of customer that you can turn up and talk to. Basically, we're on the end of an email. It's very easy to get hold of us. So this is a good value add that we provide to people, and we do have use-based pricing for support that you can find on our website. This is something that we would be interested to allow the resellers to do themselves if resellers want to take up this mantle. We can obviously provide the second line support, and resellers provide the first line support, and they can add that value and get that value back as well. We would also be interested in doing joint marketing work as well. So essentially helping you get in contact with your Sage 200 users and say, do you like your current CRM? Have you got a current CRM? Would you like to see Mashoom's? And we're happy to put in provide the man hours on that front as well, and any other resources. So all of this together, we've spoken to a lot of resellers, and there are lots of different ways that people would like to play this. So I've been vague in saying these are the sort of things that we would like, but I haven't put numbers on it because we'd like to have those conversations on an individual basis and go from there, basically. But I think the thing that is important to say is we're profitable as we are, and we are in the growth stage of our business. So we're far more interested in getting access to market than being too draconian with our percentages. So please let's have that conversation and we can take it from there.